The Election Commission of India. Today we'll discuss about Election Commission of India, which is an autonomous and constitutional authority and primarily responsible for conducting elections with regard to union and state. Besides, it is involved in several kind of elections which we'll see later. So this institution which we see was envisaged in our constitution and was established in the constitution, in the provisions of the constitution, and started functioning from January 1950. Uh, Next important aspect that we will discuss about election commission is how Indian constitution actually designed and what were the different debates that took place in the Constituent Assembly of India with regard to designing of election commission of India. Now, we see Indian constitution has borrowed from several of the several constitution of the world, several precedents during British rule, which we have seen, which we have borrowed after debating. Uh, if you consider Election Commission of India, this was a very innovative body because we don't find any kind of such kind of body which existed during British era. So it was a kind of new innovations. And during British rule, it was primarily the executive, whether it was central or provincial government, that used to conduct these elections. It was primarily left to our drafters of the constitution, who actually came up with this idea of creating this independent election commission, which would be involved in primarily organizing and implementing the wider electoral framework. So, what were the main issues or concern for them while they were designing the election commission? One of the important aspect which they saw while designing the selection commission was whether it should be integrated to the whole federal setup or whether it should be a centralized kind of setup. Secondly, whether it would be a ad hoc kind of setup, and there were several other issues which were taken into considerations while designing the idea of election commission. One of the important argument that comes from the chairman of the drafting committee, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, was that he said that the body which is being created should be a centralized body, and there were arguments to support his point. And also, second important argument was it should have enough distance from the government. The prime idea why it should maintain a distance from the government, because he argued that if there is a body which is maintaining a distance from the government, then it cannot favor a particular party in the office. So he primarily said that uh, such kind of body which is being created should maintain enough distance from the executive, because that opportunity, if that is not the case, then that opportunity could be used by the ruling party to transfer offices from one area to another area, and that may favor that particular party, and that will be against the very notion of free and fair election. Now, secondly, he favored a centralized body. There were argument which is given by him. He says that there is a serious case for making this body as a centralized body, because if there is a decentralization with regard to creation of this institution, then it could threaten the minority rights. What he says later, that the state government might try to subvert the election process. He says, in quotes, that instructing and managing things in such a manner that those people who do not belong to them, either racially, culturally, or linguistically, they can be excluded from the electoral rolls. So this was a concern by which, you know, the design of the election commission was a centralized one. Now the issue of, whether it would be a permanent body or it would be an ad hoc body, the drafting committee, said that, why, whether it should be a body which is permanent or it would be ad hoc, kind of body, because, you know there could be, little work at some time, and, at other times it could have, a lot of work. But primarily, what was a, compromised formula, compromised decision, that it should be a permanent body, and only office provided for in initial years was chief election commissioner. And then it was supported by, it could be supported by, further appointments of different commissioners also. Now, so these were initial debates. Primarily, the conclusively we can say that initial decisions which happened during, different deliberations in the Constituent Assembly, primarily, designed the idea of election commission, and the election commission to be a permanent body, an autonomous body, and the body which should maintain distance from the executive, and uh, and and, and and should, conduct free and fair election. Now, coming to the next aspect of election commission, that is structure and function. So the election commission consists of election commissioner, and there is a provision, other provision also, that such number of election commissioners, if any, as the president may fix from time to time. So clearly there is a provision for election commissioner, but simultaneously there is also, you know, if there is a necessity, then the president, can, bring in more election commissioner. So chief election commissioner stands at the apex of the hierarchy of election commission. Now, uh, when we see the trajectory of the structure of election commission in India, then we see that until 1989, the election commission of India primarily consisted of the chief election commissioner only. It was only in Rajiv Gandhi government which appointed on 16th October 1989 two election commissioners who were appointed by presidential notification. Now the new body, the body of election commission, included chief election commissioner and two other election commissioners. Now this was, this structure could not continue for a longer period of time, and in less than 3 months, we see election commission, went back to the previous, structure. And so in 1990, it became again a single body. Now, again, in October 1993, two election commissioners were appointed by an ordinance, and now again we see the election commission is consist of three members headed by chief election commissioner. So till now, the same continuity goes on, with election commission consisting of one chief election commissioner and the other election commissioners. Now, we will be, it is really surprising how the election commission, being body which is at centralized level conducts election throughout India, or does the election is just conducted by these three individuals, which is continuing? So we see if we see historically, the machinery, the whole administrative machinery which is being used by election commission is huge. So if we consider the initial years, there were very meager or very less number of administrative staff. To start, if we count that initial years, or when it was established, the numbers of functionaries or number of administrative staff that we see in election commission, as per 25th January 1950 data, that there was one secretary, one assistant secretary, one superintendent, 5 assistant, 10 clerks, 2 stenograph, and 8 fourth class employees that were recruited on ad hoc basis. But over the years, we see there have been jump in the numbers of administrative staff, and we see the number of gazetted posts have also increased. If we see gazetted post number of increase, then from we see in 1952 it was just 13, which became 40 in 1971, and non-gazetted staff also grew from 119 to 241 in 1971. If we consider today, there is more than 300 officials which are there at the headquarters, which is called Nirvachan Sadan in Delhi. Now, besides this, the administrative machinery also who are involved in the process of conducted election at the state level must need to be considered. So how the election at different levels are conducted by election commission? What are the machinery which is being used by election commission? If we consider at state level, the election is primarily under the superintendent's direction and control of the election commission, and at state level they have chief electoral officer of the state, who is appointed by the commission from amongst the senior civil servant, who is proposed by the concerned state government. So he is he is in most of the state a full-time officer and has a small team which supports him. To adding to it, at district level and at constituency level, there are different posts which are there, that include the district election commission officers, electoral registration officers, and returning officer, who are again assisted by a large number of junior functionaries who are involved in the election process. So if we see the machinery, then we see that there have been surge in the number of administrative staff over the years. So let's sum up what we have studied till now. Primarily, we have started with the initial debates which has happened in the Constituent Assembly with regard to designing the innovative election commission, which has no precedent in the past, and it is no borrowing from any other constitution, but it was clearly an innovation by the constitution drafter or our forefathers who drafted our constitution. And then again, coming to the structure which began as a single body in election commission, now it has election commissioner, the chief election commissioner, and 2 more commissioners, which is the same precedent is continuing till now. Then coming to the administrative dimension, how it election commission manages its daily or the election process, we see there is a huge set of administrative staff which is being employed during the process of election commission, and they continue to work throughout the year. So we end this discussion here, and then the next class when we we'll take up what were the important provisions from where the powers of election commission emanates or comes. Then we will discuss about various roles and functions